Look at bandits celebrating inside the forest. Look at them as if they own Nigeria. Look at them jubilating. Nigeria is gone. Look at our government. What are you people doing? Look at these people inside the forest. They are doing as if they own this Nigeria. Look at them.
In moments when a nation faces visible signs of instability, people naturally react with concern, questioning not only the actions of those creating unrest but also the capacity of institutions to respond. As we look at the situation described, where individuals identified as armed groups appear to be celebrating deep inside the forest, the imagery creates a symbolic tension that resonates with many viewers. It paints a picture of people who seem confident in their environment, almost as if they have built a temporary sense of control in a space far removed from the safety and order citizens expect from their homeland. When some observers say they act as if they own Nigeria, it is less a literal accusation and more an expression of frustration about perceived lapses in national security. This frustration is something many viewers can relate to, and as we go deeper into this analysis, feel free to subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments, because your perspective enriches conversations like this. The scene of individuals acting freely within a remote forest can trigger a strong emotional reaction, especially when citizens feel that legitimate authority should prevent such developments. But understanding the difference between symbolic power and actual national control is essential. Groups can operate in isolated spaces, but that does not mean they have structural influence over the country as a whole. Nigeria is a large and diverse nation with complex terrain, and challenges within remote regions have existed for many years. What makes the imagery unsettling is the contrast between the symbolic confidence of those groups and the genuine concerns of everyday citizens who expect enhanced safety measures. When people say Nigeria is gone, the statement does not reflect factual reality, rather, it expresses a deep emotional response rooted in fear that the state may appear too slow, too overwhelmed, or too distant from local struggles. In moments like this, national confidence is shaken not only by actions on the ground but also by the perceived silence or inaction of those in leadership positions. That is why some voices question, look at our government, what are you people doing? It is a call for visibility, accountability, and reassurance. It is a request that decision makers address these issues with clarity and decisive communication. While analyzing this, I encourage you to click subscribe and stay engaged with discussions that promote awareness without violating community guidelines, ensuring that our conversations remain constructive and respectful. The forest setting itself carries symbolic weight. Forests in many regions have become strategic hideouts where groups feel shielded from surveillance and intervention. To an ordinary viewer, the sight of people celebrating in such an environment may suggest that they feel untouchable or overly comfortable. Yet, an objective analysis reminds us that appearances can be misleading. Such groups often operate under pressure, constantly on the move, and rarely able to claim any long-term stability. Their presence in remote terrain signals not dominance, but an exploitation of gaps in rural infrastructure and security logistics. When observers repeatedly say, "Look at them," it reflects a sense of disbelief, not necessarily about their strength, but about the audacity of their actions. It speaks to the public's frustration with the ongoing challenges of ensuring safety across a vast national landscape. Nigeria's security architecture is tasked with protecting more than 200 million people across multiple states, each with diverse terrain and unique challenges. Forested zones, especially, require specialized coordinated efforts, and while progress has been made in certain areas, gaps remain visible. These moments remind us of the importance of community engagement and the strengthening of local intelligence networks that support broader national security strategies. As always, feel free to drop a comment sharing your perspective, because real dialogue matters when discussing national issues. Citizens' emotional responses, even when expressed in dramatic terms, should not be dismissed. They reveal a deep desire for stability, structure, and reassurance that the institutions designed to protect the population are actively addressing threats. When the public sees individuals behaving in the forest with an air of celebration, they interpret it as a symbolic challenge to national unity. It is a reminder of the urgent need for consistent communication between leaders and communities. But it is equally important to maintain factual clarity. Nigeria as a state is not defined by isolated acts of defiance. Its sovereignty rests on an institutional framework that stretches far beyond temporary gatherings in remote regions. A realistic analysis helps the audience stay informed rather than alarmed, and this kind of balanced understanding is essential for anyone trying to engage thoughtfully with current events. If you are finding value in this analysis, remember to subscribe and share the video so more people can join the discussion. Public reactions are shaped not only by security concerns but also by how issues are presented in the media. Dramatic visuals can amplify panic, even when the broader context is more complex. It is important to question the intent behind any footage. Is it meant to intimidate the public, manipulate perceptions, or project confidence? Groups that feel marginalized or under pressure sometimes exaggerate their visibility to create a psychological impact. Recognizing this helps dismantle the illusion of uncontested authority. Meanwhile, criticisms directed toward the government often stem from a desire for more transparency and proactive involvement. Citizens may not always see the efforts happening behind the scenes, whether through strategic planning, intelligence gathering, or operational restructuring. Yet, the need for visible reassurance remains strong, which is why taking public communication seriously is vital. As viewers reflect on these issues, they should also consider the layered factors that contribute to insecurity, socio-economic conditions, geographic constraints, political dynamics, and historical tensions. None of these challenges can be solved instantly, but acknowledging them helps create more grounded expectations. Sharing this video and engaging in the comments also encourages broader, solution-oriented conversations within the community. Looking at individuals in the forest and interpreting their posture or celebration as a claim to ownership over the nation is emotionally understandable but analytically incomplete. The psychological effect of seeing such imagery is strong, but the structural reality of national governance remains intact. What is needed is not despair but sustained commitment to understanding the key drivers of insecurity and supporting constructive measures. Citizens must stay informed, not intimidated, and this kind of analysis aims to support that mindset. So as you continue watching, remember to subscribe, leave your thoughts below, and share the content so more people can take part in these essential discussions. When people say look at them, it is ultimately a call for national reflection, a moment to examine how communities, institutions, and leaders can collaborate more effectively to protect the integrity of the country. By focusing on factual context rather than fear, the public gains a stronger sense of agency and awareness, contributing to long-term resilience and unity. As we continue reflecting on the emotional reactions sparked by these images, it becomes clear that many citizens are not merely concerned about the physical presence of these groups in the forest but about what that presence symbolizes on a psychological level. The imagery of individuals appearing relaxed or celebratory in a secluded environment represents, to many viewers, an uncomfortable reminder of the ongoing struggle to maintain consistent security across the entire country. This sense of unease grows when people interpret their action as a display of confidence, prompting statements like, "They act as if they own Nigeria." But while such expressions carry strong emotional impact, a realistic analysis reminds us that symbolic gestures do not translate into genuine control. What appears to be bold and defiant behavior often marks underlying instability, fragmented leadership structures, and internal tensions within those groups themselves. This understanding helps us shift from fear-driven interpretations to more rational, informed assessments that reduce unnecessary panic. And if you are following this line of thought, feel free to subscribe and add your insights in the comments, because your perspective may actually help someone else interpret these situations more clearly. The frustration expressed toward the government is also part of a broader conversation about accountability and visibility in national leadership. People want to feel that their concerns are heard, that strategies are being implemented, and that security forces are positioned to respond effectively. When citizens ask, "What are you people doing?" they are not necessarily dismissing ongoing efforts but calling for reassurance and transparency. They want to see results, to feel protected, and to believe that the state remains firmly in control, even in difficult regions. This desire for reassurance becomes stronger when dramatic visuals circulate without full context, amplifying public anxiety. It is essential to remember that clips or images of individuals in remote forests do not represent the full scope of national security operations. These groups often choose isolated terrain not because they possess power but because they lack the capacity to operate openly in structured environments. Forests provide cover, but they also reflect limitation, not dominance. When viewers repeat "look at them," it is less about admiring their organization and more about questioning how such situations continue to persist. That emotional reaction is valid, yet it must be balanced with factual awareness. National security challenges are not unique to Nigeria, countries around the world grapple with similar issues in difficult terrain. The key is maintaining a grounded understanding that isolated expressions of defiance do not define the trajectory of an entire nation. If you believe balanced conversations like this matter, remember to like the video, drop a comment sharing your thoughts, and share this analysis with others who care about the topic. The perception that they behave as if they own this Nigeria reflects a deeper anxiety about national identity. For many people, Nigeria is not just a place, it is a cultural and emotional home tied to family, memories, pride, and aspirations for the future. So when individuals see armed groups behaving casually in a forest, it feels personal, almost like an intrusion into the symbolic heart of the nation. But this emotional reaction must be tempered with the understanding that national identity is far stronger than the temporary actions of a small number of individuals. Nigeria's institutions, population, and cultural values form a far more resilient foundation than what can be shaken by isolated incidents. A rational perspective reminds us that the state retains legitimacy, authority, and long-term stability, even when temporary challenges arise in certain regions. This kind of calm, analytical thinking helps audiences stay focused on long-term solutions rather than short-term emotional shock. It is also important to question why such footage emerges and how it circulates. Often, groups share these visuals deliberately to create psychological impact, seeking to project an illusion of strength. They rely on fear, confusion, and public frustration as tools, hoping to amplify their significance. Recognizing these intentions reduces their influence. When the audience understands that symbolic displays are sometimes used to manipulate perception, the psychological effect weakens. In fact, awareness becomes a form of empowerment, encouraging people to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. So as you continue watching and listening, feel free to subscribe and comment, because informed voices strengthen collective awareness. When observers say, Nigeria is gone, they are expressing a moment of emotional exhaustion, not a factual assessment. Nations endure difficult periods, yet they remain standing through the resilience of their institutions and the determination of their people. While security challenges may appear overwhelming in the moment, they do not define the destiny of a country. Instead, they call for strategic planning, community engagement, and constructive dialogue, exactly the kind of conversation this analysis aims to support. Citizens have the right to hold leaders accountable, to demand clearer communication, and to expect safety. But they also benefit from understanding the structural realities that shape these challenges. By maintaining perspective, we avoid falling into despair and instead focus on meaningful solutions. And as always, your engagement matters. Share your opinions below, subscribe if you haven't yet, and help expand this conversation so more viewers can reflect with clarity rather than fear.